All right, so this is going to be a little bit of a different video than you're used to from my channel. This is going to be just me talking, I guess. I thought it was about time that you guys know a little bit more about me and my personal journey and, you know, how I ended up where I am and how I ended up being a healer and a light worker. So these are going to be a little bit difficult for me. So if I pause it every once in a while, please try to understand that these videos are going to be a little bit difficult for me. So this is going to be a series that I start calling I Survived. And I'm thinking there's going to be 3 videos that I'm going to make in the survival series, and they're all true stories. Okay. But there's only really 3 major near-death experiences, I guess, that I survived. So this one is going to be called I Survived a Concert Shooter. So I'm just going to dive right in. Oh my God, my cat. Sorry about the background noise. So I was dating a guy. This was, I can't even remember the exact year. But ironically, I tried to look up the incident in the newspaper, and I'm not going to tell you what newspaper because then you'll know where I live. But I could not find one article on this at all, and so it's almost like it didn't exist and it didn't happen. But there is, let's see, my brother, my sister, my best friend Chrissy, and my brother's friend Alex, who can all tell you that this definitely did happen. I want to say it was sometime between maybe 90, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the timeline, maybe between 97 and 99, maybe somewhere in between there. It may even have been earlier. I guess it doesn't matter. It could have been between the timeline of 94 through 99, I want to say. One second. Okay, so I was dating this guy, and we will call him, for the sake of the story, Joe. Because I will not be giving out any real names in this story. So I was dating a person named Joe, and I was maybe around 14. So it might have been about 1994 because, well, so I just gave away my age. But anyways, I was around 14 or 15 at the time. And he invited me to a rap concert for his rap group at the time. And I was super excited to go. So, and you know, trying to be a good girlfriend, I was like, yeah, I'm going to support my boyfriend. And so I called up, you know, my best girlfriend, and I said, hey, do you want to go to this concert? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. My sister decided she wanted to go with us. And my brother we all, you know, obviously we were teenagers, so we all lived in the same house. So my brother decided he wanted to go. And then he called up his best friend and said, hey, you know, you want to go to this rap concert? And he said, yes, of course. So we all decided to go. And we get there, and everything is really uneventful. At first, there is, you know, everyone's having a good time. There's a few people, you know, doing odd illegal substances at the time. They were, smoking. Um, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get, in trouble with YouTube in any way, but they were smoking things. And so that was heavy in the air. But other than that, there was no other illegal substances going on that I was aware of. And, everyone was just sort of enjoying themselves. We were having a really great time. And it's looking back on it at this time, I should have known that something was off. So I remember I don't know if it was my sister or maybe it was my friend that was with me at the time. And I'm not going to mention anyone's names because I don't know if they want, to be associated with this story or anything like that. So if I get that permission, maybe I'll go back and, tell names or whatever, but I'm going to protect everyone's privacy. So my friend that was with me at the time and my sister, it's funny because both of them said to me, we want to go. And I was like, why? Like we're having a good time. Like we're having fun and stuff. And they just kept saying like they wanted to go. And I remember it was either my sister or my friend said, I just have a really bad feeling, like something feels off. And I was like, at the time, I don't know if my intuition was not that strong or what was going on, but I didn't feel anything like that. But I mean, it could have been just because I was so enamored with the guy I was dating at the time. So I was fully into watching Joe on stage, and so I didn't feel anything off at all. I look back now and I don't have any regrets. There's a part of me that does wish like, man, like I really wish I would have listened to them or whatever. But then, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So I noticed that the hall light was on. I turned it off. So I didn't feel anything amiss. And, it was really strange how everything sort of played out because we're there, we're having a good time. They said they wanted to leave and I thought that's odd, right? And then the next thing you know, there's this sound that I will never forget. And it was like this, somebody, or maybe multiple people, I'm not quite sure. There was a scream and then I think it was one scream followed by multiple screams, right? And it was very confusing because we're looking around and I don't recall in the beginning hearing any gunshots or anything like that. I just remember a sound, like it sounded like, almost in my memory, it was like the sound of muffled screams. And I could hear like people panicking and yelling, and we didn't really know what was going on at the time. And I just remember looking at my sister and looking at my friend and saying, grab me, right? And so we all literally, and I think this is what saved us, is we all grabbed hands and we looked at each other and we were like, don't let go. And we just held on to each other for dear life. We had absolutely no idea what was going on, but we just instinctively knew, like, hold on to each other, right? So we did that. And then it became very uncomfortable because there was people, everyone was sort of crowding into each other. There was like a sort of frenzied movement of people, shoving each other. And I think people were trying to escape and get to the doorway. And we were sort of a little bit close to the exit, but kind of almost in the middle, like not fully in the middle. But I just remember being really squished by other people, and there was such a large crowd. And this part will never ever leave my memory. So I'm holding on to my friend. There was a few things that will be burned in my memory forever. So I was holding on to my friend's hand, and I literally, I remember like feeling this weird sensation of like we were walking on like almost like a bed mattress. Like it felt like really weird, like under our feet. And I was like, this is an odd sensation. And I thought maybe we were walking on, I don't know, like I was confused. I thought we had entered like a carpeted section of, where we were in the concert hall. And so I ended up like looking down really quickly, and then I realized that I could see hands, and I was just sick to my stomach, like thinking, because I realized that it was not a carpeted room. It was actually human bodies. And we were stepping on people. And I won't ever forget that anytime soon, like to look down and see hands and arms and realizing that you're walking on top of people, and there was a layer, literally a layer of people, and we were walking on them. And I remember like as I grabbed onto my friend and my sister even tighter, like I just grabbed onto him as hard as I could. And out of the corner of my eye, as I was looking down and noticing, this horrific sight, I could see out of the corner of my eye that my friend, she's like 4'11", she was starting to fall, and I could feel her starting to slip out of my grip. And I thought, oh my gosh, like if I let go of her hand, she's going to go under, and people are going to trample her. And I just remember feeling this like extreme panic just coming up into my throat. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I just kept screaming in my head, like absolutely cannot let go of her. Like I have to hold on as tightly as I possibly can. And I just held on so tightly, and I could feel her grip, and the panic was just rising in my mouth. And one second, I'm going to get the cat. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So as I am starting to panic, and I'm thinking, if I let go of my friend, she's going to go under. And I just wanted so desperately to not lose her or to lose my sister. And my sister had a pretty good grip, but I was slowly starting to lose my grip on both of them. And I was beginning to panic because I thought, they can't go down. They can't go down, And as I'm sitting there in my head going, oh my God, I'm going to lose my grip on both of them, and they're going to go down. And this incredible person, this incredible man, literally, he came out of nowhere, like literal, like an earth angel, right, you guys? And he grabbed my friend, and he grabbed my sister, and he grabbed me. Like he grabbed all three of us at the same time. I don't know how he managed to do it, but somehow he did. He literally had one here, and then me in the middle like this. He was like a Superman, a literal live Superman, honestly. And it was funny because he grabbed us all, and he sort of lifted us all up, and he started running with us, and he shoved us all. Like it was almost like this. He went and then shoved, okay, if that makes sense, and shoved us into this little tiny, like it was a little almost concession stand / cubby, right? And it was inside was like this little tiny kitchen area. And I mean, the doorway was literally like maybe like this. I mean, it was small. Okay. It was a small doorway. Like it wasn't even a normal size doorway. It was like closet, right, shaped. I don't know how to describe it, but it was a long doorway, but it was small. Okay. So it was probably only like maybe like less than 4 feet across, right? And it was long though. And then when we got inside, it was like a whole kitchen area. Nobody was in there. Okay, so the guy turns to us and he says, "Are you guys okay?" Like super calm, right? And I'm like relatively calm at this point. I'm just like, yeah, we're all like, we're fine. Okay, so The one thing I do remember about this person, and you guys, I'm going to ask you right now to please share this video as many times as you can. Please, 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 because I have not been able to find this person. And if you guys can help us find this person, I would like to thank this person someday, because I believe that this person saved all of our lives. He had a very unique skin condition. He was albino. So his hair was completely white. His skin was very, very white. And his eyes were like, you know, the albino eyes, like the bluish clear. And he looked like African American, right? And his hair was in braids going back. So if you know of this person, or if you're watching this, please reach out to me. Comment below this video. One second. Okay, sorry about that. I got a phone call, so this video will now be spliced from 2. So if you know who this person is, or if you happen to be watching this, please reach out to me, comment below, or you can reach me on my Instagram, which is the same as my YouTube channel. It is Chakra Bunny Tarot. My Instagram name is the same, because I would like to speak with you about that day. And mainly to make sure I'm not crazy. Didn't make it all up. I'm just kidding. Okay. So there's a lot of interruptions during this video. I just got another phone call, but we're going to get through this, I promise. Okay, so yes, if you are that person that saved me and my friend and my sister, please contact me. Share this video as many times as you can, you guys, so we can see if we can find the superhero that saved our lives that day. All right, so at this point, everyone runs outside, right? You can hear sirens. Cops have been called, obviously, right? So we're outside, and everyone's out there, and you could hear people like crying. Everyone was looking for family members and friends and stuff. My boyfriend at the time was literally nowhere in sight, and we did end up breaking up after this day, because he, in fact, left me there. He never even called to make sure that I was fine. In fact, I don't think I heard from him until the next day. So there's that. So we were outside, and we could hear sirens, and there was people looking for family members and such. And it was about this time that I sort of went into a panic, because I was looking for my brother and I couldn't find him. And so my sister and her friend didn't know, but I said, I'm going to find my brother, you know, we'll call him Dan. Okay. I said, I'm going to go find Dan. And I took off running back inside of the building, and I was calling his name, and nobody could stop me. My sister and my friend didn't even know that I had took off back in the building, right? They were too traumatized, and, you know, they were crying, and I just bolted inside. So as I'm running inside, I remember walking through these doors, and they were like almost like, you know, gymnasium doors. Like you ever see those doors that in a gymnasium, you have to push them and then they open, you know, out, and, you know, it's got like the metal thing that you push, right? So the doors were, I don't know if they were propped open or what, but I ran through the doors, and as I'm running, I'm looking around, and there's literally nobody in the place. And I look up, and this is a moment I will absolutely never forget. So I see a person standing there, just one person, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And I look him in the eye, right? And it is an African American male. Um, and we're looking at each other. And at the time, I don't realize anything is amiss. I'm assuming that he's in there searching for someone as well. And then I notice that he has something in his hands. And so it takes me a while to process this, but I look and I notice that what he is holding in his hand is indeed a handgun. And at this point, he's looking me dead in the eye. I'm looking at him, and we're staring at each other dead in the eye. And he is holding the pistol like this. And I'm thinking to myself, how stupid are you to not have noticed that that's what he's holding in his hand, right? And there's all these thoughts going through my mind, and I'm yelling at myself and going, oh my God, how could you have not noticed? This is the shooter. And I'm realizing I'm staring at the shooter face to face. We're staring at each other. He's looking me in the eye. He's holding the gun. And I think to myself, okay, so this is probably how I'm going to die, right? And it seemed like forever. It seemed like literally 5 minutes that we're staring at each other, although I'm sure it was only less than a minute, right? And at this point, he points the gun up to the ceiling and he fires a shot. And he's looking at me dead in the eye as he does this. And I'm not a shooter. Like I'm not a hunter or anything like that. I've never even fired a gun. So I just remember staring at the gun, not even at him anymore, because at this point I was terrified. So I'm staring at the gun and I see like this ball of fire. That's how I would describe it, as a ball of fire comes out of the gun. And at this point, the shot was so loud that I temporarily could not hear. The boom was so loud, I was temporarily deaf. And I remember like covering both my ears like this and sort of bracing myself because the sound was absolutely horrifying. And at this point, my ears were ringing so loud, I could not hear anything. And I remember thinking like the fire coming out of the gun was like almost beautiful in a way. It was the strangest thing, like, because I had never seen a gun go off. And I wasn't at this point really scared for my life. I just thought, this guy is here. We're looking at each other. And then I started thinking, maybe he might kill me, right? And then I was starting to feel a little bit of like my heart thudding, right? So after this happens, the guy takes one more look at me and he starts running. I don't know if he ran out the back door or out. He ran. So he took off running in this direction, right? And I took off running this direction once I seen him move, right? I started running, and as I'm running, I slip in something liquid. And, I stand up and I look down and I realize that it is blood and I am literally covered from head to toe. Like it's all over me. And I look down to see what happened, and I was standing in a huge puddle of blood. I mean, in my mind, this was the most blood I've ever seen, and there's no way anyone could have survived that. And so at this point, I'm full panic mode, right? I go running out, and my sister, she somehow finds me as I'm outside. And at this point, I was full blown trauma. So at this point, I'm screaming, or I think I was screaming. It was this weird out of body experience where like I could hear screaming, right? And I didn't realize at first that it was coming from me until my sister came up, and literally it was just like a movie. She comes up and she grabs me by the shoulders and she shakes me and she slaps me like super hard across the face. And she goes, "Stop," right? Hold on. Okay, so She goes, stop, right? Stop. She was like, stop panicking. And so I just sitting there, I'm just standing there, I'm sorry. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, I'm, taking all these deep breaths and I'm going, we gotta find Dan. We gotta find Dan. And I'm literally on repeat, right? I just keep saying this over and over again and I'm screaming out his name, right? And she shakes me again and she goes, are you okay? And I go, and she's looking me up and down because I'm covered in blood. And at this point, she had no idea that I went back inside. She had no idea that, why I was covered in blood. And she's like shaking me. And she's like, stop. Because I'm just screaming. I'm going, we gotta find Dan. Literally, I was in a loop. I couldn't stop saying it. Like I just kept saying it and kept saying it and kept saying it and screaming his name, And I must have said it like 15 times again. I kept saying, we gotta find Dan, Dan. And I was screaming and screaming. So finally she shook me again and she went, Nancy. And she slapped me again and harder this time. And I woke up out of my panic. And she went, are you okay? And my sister, bless her, she's younger than me. I'm older than her. So I think she handled this extremely well. She shakes me and she says, are you okay? Is this your blood? Whose blood is this? And I said, no, it's not mine. And she went, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And she goes, what happened? And I said, I went back inside and I slipped. And this is not my blood. I slipped in someone's blood. And she went, okay, we're going to call a ride and we're going to go home. So at the time we didn't have cell phones. And so I think we went to a store or something. Or maybe we asked someone for change. I don't really remember. Most of the night was a blur. I think we did end up getting change from someone and we called my brother's friends. We'll call him Andrew. We got Andrew's mom to come and pick us up and she did. And she gave us all rides home, bless her heart. And I remember we walk in the door and my parents are like, they're just full-blown panic mode because they see me, I'm covered in blood. They're like, what's going on? I'm crying, I'm shaking. We managed to get the story out. And I remember my mom literally is like, oh my gosh. And she puts me in the shower, like fully clothed. And I remember standing in that shower and I'm looking at the drain and blood is just running everywhere. I'm literally fully clothed in the shower. I get down into the fetal position and sort of hug my knees as I'm sitting down in the fetal position. And I just sat like that for maybe, I don't know how long it was. Eventually the water turned cold and my mom came in and said, we need to get you out. And I don't really remember, like what happened to the clothes. I think I took them off and I believe my mom, I think she might have thrown the clothes away. I'm not sure. I just remember telling her, she said, what do you got me to do with this stuff? And I said, get rid of it. I don't even remember if I used soap. I don't know. I just remember getting out and trying to sleep. And the next day, nobody called us. We didn't call the police. It was just, I remember seeing one small article in the day or days following that said there was a party that ended in gunshots and a few people were injured. Nobody died. So thank God for that. But, I don't remember. I'm sure there was a number that said to call if you were a witness. I do remember telling my dad, should I call the police and let them know that I locked eyes with the shooter? And he says to me, no, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Because I think he was afraid that if, the shooter was to figure out that I could be in danger. If he was to figure out if I seen him, I don't know. So nothing ever came of it. And just recently I tried to find any articles on it in the local paper. I went through the archives and everything, and I couldn't find one single article about the incident. But the incident occurred at a place called Plumbers Hall in my hometown of Lansing, Michigan. So that is my story of how I survived an open shooter. If you guys have any questions, or if you know anyone that was there, please feel free to comment. I love all of you, and thanks for listening.